I've called in the big guns to help with this challenge. He's a best-selling author, philanthropist, and of course, an award-winning chef. If I said bam, oh my God, Mr. Emerald Lagasse.
A legend.
I'm like literally fangirling.
I'm so excited to be back in the Top Chef kitchen to be with y'all. So let's have some fun.
Welcome to the Eat Your Content podcast. I'm your host, Rich Herrera. Thank you for choosing my pod. Just a reminder to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content. And make sure to follow and subscribe on your podcast player of choice so you know when things are coming up. We are in week 3 of Top Chef season 23. And joining me once again is Top Chef season 22 participant, Chef Corwin Hemming. Chef, thanks for coming back.
Rich, what's going on? Week 3, we're here.
Week 3, gosh, we got a lot to unpack, so we're gonna just jump right in. I mean, this was a heck of an episode. I mean, yeah, let's just get into it. We open up. Jennifer's injured her shoulder. She injured her shoulder a couple of weeks before going to the show, and hoping for the best. I mean, I'm sure she's fine now. It's obviously past recording time, but she's cooking one-handed, and that's a tough position to be in. So we'll see what happens there. And they also mentioned that Rhoda is the only chef in Top Chef history to have back-to-back elimination wins in the first 2 challenges. So she's starting off on a good foot. And she mentioned something about not wanting to peak early. Like that's a pretty good concern there. What do you think of her saying that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And I think her even addressing that this early on in the competition is making her realize that like she's got just because she has a minion now doesn't mean it can't be your day. So I think she's keeping a good mindset to run a long race and compete. As you know, we're seeing certain chefs are starting to heat up. Anthony, I've been saying Anthony's heating up, man. I've been wanting to see him get into it. So he's finally throw his hat in the ring, and he's heating up. We're watching other competitors are either going downwards, certain people are staying at the top. So I mean, she's understanding that like she wants to win. She has a winner's mindset, and so she's staying there. I applaud it.
Yeah, she's doing really, really well. So let's jump right into the Quickfire. The Quickfire is a liver mush challenge, which apparently is a staple in the Carolinas. Liver mush, I kind of equate it to like Spam's uglier cousin. It's a tough ingredient. I've never had liver mush. I've had Spam, obviously, and then I've had its close cousin. What's that other one? They mentioned it on the show. Oh, my mind just went blank. Scrapple.
Scrapple, yes.
Yeah, Scrapple. So I've had that. I never had liver mush. Have you ever had liver mush?
I've never had liver mush. I've had Scrapple. I am not a fan of these ground, canned looking gray meats. So I was watching this, and the whole time I was thinking about what would I have done? And I couldn't draw in a single idea. I was like, I would have bombed. I would have bombed on this one.
I mean, a lot of people had kind of the same ideas. Like you see a mound of mushy meat and they turned it into a pate, or they sliced it up and fried it. So yeah, I mean, it's a good challenge to really throw you off your game a little bit. And it's not a lot of people on there hadn't had it. And with a name like liver mush, a lot of people probably wouldn't try it. I have a rule about eating things: don't knock it till you try it. So I would definitely try it at least once.
Mhm.
And they have a rule in the Carolinas that 30% of liver mush has to be liver.
Mhm.
So it's pretty interesting. So they have to create an elevated dish featuring liver mush, and the winner gets 10K in 30 minutes. For the sake of time, we're only going to cover the top 3, the top 3 favorites and the bottom 3 least favorites.
Mhm.
And this is where Jennifer's shoulder was really giving her some issues, and she
Yeah.
had to leave and head out and go to urgent care and get that checked out. But the top favorites, so we had Duyen, Anthony, and Rhoda. So Duyen did a liver mush and grilled chicken banh mi, which I thought was genius. Like I didn't even think sandwich, right? But that's where your culture comes in, your past experience comes in. So for her to make a banh mi out of that was just the perfect. I thought the perfect application of using liver mush. What did you think of the banh mi there?
I mean, banh mi is the perfect vessel to carry this whipped liver pate situation. I mean, banh mi has its own version of that. Obviously, it's a better product than liver mush, in my opinion. But it's just a smart way to cook. It's to think about something that another culture's already done well, and make something great out of it. And I think she did that.
Yeah. Anthony ended up being the winner. He did a liver mush pate with tomatoes, cayenne, and liver mush croutons. The judges loved the croutons and the tomatoes. I thought cutting it up into little cubes and crunching it up, I think was a good application there. And Anthony, like you were saying, he's starting to level up. What did you see in Anthony's cook here that made you think he's starting to turn a corner or step it up into another gear?
Well, it was apparent he's at the top of the middle of the pack. He's always consistently executing his ideas. His food looks really nice, and so there was I could just tell. I'm like he's on the cusp. When somebody else slips up, he's gonna immediately get put into that slot. And he grew up eating it, so he basically said he has it tucked in his freezer, which is crazy. Like that's not the thing I have tucked in my freezer. I've got beef patties and like stocks that I've made in my house, so like definitely not that. So the fact that he enjoys this and he cooks it at home and he grew up eating it, it was a no-brainer for him to get creative and use it in two different variations. He used it on his plate and then he made the croutons out of it, which the acidity of the tomatoes cut straight through the fat. And it's just he's cooking smart, man. It's apparent to see on camera.
Yep. Yep. And Rhoda made a pork and liver kind of like a meatball dish with peaches and marsala Dijon sauce, and she's cornmeal in her meatballs. Why was using cornmeal a smart choice? Like, I'm not a chef, so I didn't quite understand what was going on there. So why was the cornmeal a smart choice to put in her meatball?
Cornmeal, I think, was smart for two reasons. Obviously, cornmeal is used throughout the South. So you're trying to find little ways to sprinkle in Southern cuisine into your plate, your dish that you're putting in front of the judges, and that's just smart. I think whoever is able to consistently cook Carolina's cuisine with their style of cooking as they go through this entire competition is going to win in a breeze. That's very apparent. The second reason being it's already a part of making the liver mush. They were talking about how they make it using the 30% of the liver, and there's a little bit of cornmeal in it. So the fact that there's already cornmeal in it, using those ingredients, it'll just kind of bolster it. It's just smart cooking.
Yeah, yeah. So, as we said, Anthony is the winner. So he has his first hands around some quick cash, some 10K Quickfire quick cash there. So congrats to Anthony. The least favorites, it's other than Lawrence, you had Nana and Brittany on the bottom, and I mean, they're starting to get real comfortable there at the bottom, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Nana did a liver mush French toast with maple syrup. She ran out of liver mush. I think she tried to do like a liver mush whipped cream or something, and it seized up on her and she didn't have enough, so there wasn't enough liver mush flavoring in the French toast. Lawrence did a Cantonese steamed egg with liver mush and marinated tomatoes. They said the steamed egg was too wet and the croutons got soggy, so everything was kind of just one note. Brittany did a crispy liver mush pate and a great mostarda, dry and off the mark. And I think this is even worse than those remarks, but they said it was not original, basically. And this is like, oh, I've had this a million times. Like you're not expanding your horizons, you're not making anything creative. So let's talk about these three for a second. So what went wrong for these three chefs?
Time management, I think for Nana, she, overwhipped it. She probably wasn't looking at, her mixing bowl while it was whipping, and then it seized up on her. It turned to butter. She instantly knew. Um, she tried to salvage it. She still got a dish up, which I think is a win for her. She's trying to battle back. Like we saw her last competition, she's battling back. She's still trying to find her way. So it's good to see that she's trying to find her way, but in that, managing time is like the biggest thing in the Top Chef kitchen. That clock is real. I thought the clock was fake when I came to the Top Chef kitchen. I'm like, it definitely speeds up when you're not looking at it, but in reality, it's your worst enemy and it is real and it does move in seconds. So I think just, looking at the clock and it's just your worst enemy, man. These cooks are fast at 30 minutes. You got to move. Like you got to move and you got to execute. And if you have too many ideas, I think less is more when it comes to quick fires.
Couldn't Nana turn that into a liver mush butter? Like just seeing what was happening and go, well, French butter goes with French toast. Let me just keep whipping it and see what I can do with it instead of
Yeah,
just abandoning it altogether.
that's a great idea. Sometimes, that reminds me of the episode where Massimo was trying to make ice cream and he made a creme anglaise base and his ice cream was too loose. And instead of just calling it creme anglaise, he was like, oh, it was supposed to be ice cream. And Tom was like, what is the base of ice cream? And it's creme anglaise. He's like, so what is on your plate? Creme anglaise. Like sometimes you mess up the right way and it works out.
Yeah. I think if she just thought about it for half a second, it could have been a really original liver mush buttered French toast and then some maple syrup on that or whatever. And I think it could have turned it around for her. But and then you have Brittany that's on the if I'm trying to think back to the first two episodes, I think she's been on the bottom almost in every challenge.
Mhm.
Like at this point, what do you got to do to just like get out of this funk that Brittany seems to be in?
Well, I mean, it's not a bad thing. It could rile you up. Massimo was on the bottom of our season, and Massimo was the last eliminated before the finale. So, and he's at some point he started winning. It's not a bad thing to be there. Like you can turn it around, you can figure it out. You just gotta like lock in and like turn that corner. Also, a couple extra people get eliminated, and then you start getting some challenges that are in your favor. You start getting some ingredients or some cool things that are in your favor on a quick fire, and you start winning some cash and building some momentum. And then you're right back up. Like we saw that happen with Massimo on my season. Massimo was consistently struggling and consistently at the bottom, and then he turned the corner and started cooking at a high level. He started getting very creative, and I was surprised. I knocked out by that point, but going back and watching it on TV, I was like, oh, he definitely was like really trying to win at one point.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully being on the bottom early in the game, I think is better than later on in the game because there's less people to hide behind.
Correct.
But yeah, she needs to turn the corner at some point and hopefully maybe look at the draw on challenges, look at the draw on ingredients and find I think she's still trying to figure out who she is like in this competition and trying to figure out what kind of chef she wants to be. And once she finds out, then that corner is going to turn, but we have yet to see that. So we'll see what happens. So let's jump right into the elimination challenge. Oh my gosh, I have some hot takes because I was like Tom Colicchio. I was actively grumpy to the point of almost like pissed off at all the chefs in this challenge. I'm like, how can all of that? I thought the challenge was great. So to celebrate North Carolina's textile kind of manufacturing thing history, the challenge was to create a dish using at least two naturally dyed elements. So they take food that is colorful, use them as natural dyes to elevate and create some dishes. None of the chefs, even the three winners, I thought really understood that challenge. What was so difficult that all of them had problems with this challenge?
It's executing an idea of something you've never done before. So I think you have an idea and then you go and you take a product and you cook it. And when you cook things that are naturally have high chlorophyll or high color base, those colors dull. They go dull very quick. And you know, it can be tricky, man. Like you have an idea for something, everybody was trying to over dye something, and the time constraints. Sometimes you need 24 hours to dye something. Sometimes you need 6 hours to dye something, and sometimes you just don't have that. With them executing a dish within an hour or having a day of prep before, the second you walk away from your prep and then you come back the next day, you have no idea where your mise en place is, and then it doesn't end up how you thought it was supposed to, and it doesn't fall in your favor.
Have you ever worked with natural dyes before to try to, I don't know, enhance the color of a dish or to do something different and creative?
For
What's your
sure.
experience with that?
There's a lot of ingredients that I use. I love using hibiscus to dye things. Curing fish, you can easily do that. Breaking a sauce with an oil and making like an emulsion of the two, where it's like multiple different colors and one's really bright and one's very base. There's ways to get really creative, and I think the three people that were at the top did it really well, and everybody else just kind of like had an idea, and just everybody just missed their mark, especially when you're in these new kitchens and you're trying to find your way. Like a new kitchen dynamic will throw you off your game very fast, and I think that has a big part to play in it as well.
And so they had 2 hours. Was it 2 hours? Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was 2 hours the day before, and then they had like an hour the day of service. Is 2 hours long enough to try to, like you're saying, cure fish or to dye something? What would have been your strategy here with just 2 hours on the clock and the constraints of the challenge? What was going through your head as you were watching this saying, here's what I would have done?
I would have gone with things that I've done before. I would have done something that I know works. um I think let's just talk about Brandon. Let's talk about the top. Brandon, I thought,
Yeah.
with his stuffed pasta, that was like bang on. He rolled herbs into it. It was multiple different colors. The sauce was bright. I mean, it looked really sexy. Like the bowl he used, it was just like dainty. It was like this big and it just gripped, and it was just the plate was tight. Um, and then Lawrence, man, Lawrence is cooking. I've been saying it. I'm mad that wasn't my number one pick. I'm really mad that wasn't my number one pick. Him taking a chance and being like, I'm gonna make bao buns, and then making a dough and then having a day to sit without looking at your dough. Oh man, I would have been up staring at my ceiling all night, being like, is the dough is it gonna overproof? And he got lucky and it was just like just enough. Um, so I would have used things that I thought were smart. I would have used hibiscus. I would have made a really bright green oil. I would have made a really bright red oil with a natto seed. The Top Chef kitchen has so many ingredients. So many. I think people underestimate how many ingredients that the culinary team gives you. There's so many ingredients that I would have pulled on that I would have been like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I know works. Let's do this. Let's dye something this way. The sauce needs to be bright. I think everybody just went and then they cooked something and then the colors muted and then it just wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, let's talk about the top 3 that kind of understood, the assignment. So Lawrence did the bow flights, and
Mhm.
I think he did the smartest thing. He took something that is normally white and dyed it.
Yep.
That's the best way to do that because it's not gonna mute it. It's a white it's like it's basic art
Mhm.
canvas, a white canvas, and put your
Mhm.
colors on it. And it looked really cool on the plate. One of the judges said it looked like kind of a stoplight, which is great, bright
Mhm.
colors. And it tasted good. So
Mhm.
I thought he was really smart in doing that. Brandon too, like you were saying with the pasta. I thought he was gonna do like a colored pasta versus kind of like he put colored streaks in them. I thought he was gonna run it through the pasta machine with the colors in there to make it multicolored like that. But it kind of looked like an abstract painting.
Mhm.
And the judges were surprised that when they lifted the noodle, that the meat wasn't just brown, right? So he integrated the colors into there. And Anthony, his dish looked great. If Lawrence didn't win, I thought Anthony would have won because the way the 3 moles looked on the plate, it kind of looked like a target essentially.
Yeah.
But his moles take forever to make. So I'm always impressed when people make moles on Top Chef in under 2 hours
Yeah, you can
and to
make
be
a
able to
quick
get the
mole.
depth of flavor out of that.
Yeah, you can definitely make a quick mole. I thought, Anthony, I think he's solidified himself as one of the contenders that's throwing his hat in the ring to like want to go and win this. He's cooking to win. Lawrence, obviously, the Bow Buns man, pulled that off. And also, you were cooking for Emerald Lagasse, man. Like
Yeah.
Emerald's the guy, and also like a lot of people in this industry, Emerald like was one of my earliest inspirations for like wanting to cook. I watched the show religiously as a kid. Him and Morimoto were the two. I loved their shows, and I think that's nerves. That's nerves. You're cooking for Emil Lagasse, man. He knows good food, and he gave Lawrence all the praise. He said he, loved the fillings. Like it wasn't dry because you got enough filling, and it was just wet enough to complement the dry bao bun. But yeah, Lawrence, man, he's cooking at a high level, man. That's smart. The fact that he went for 3 different colored doughs, he knew what he wanted to do, and he executed flawlessly. And it's I thought anybody could have took that one. Um, Anthony did a great job. I also think Brandon did a good job. I thought Brandon was gonna win, but I was like, if Brandon doesn't win it, it's Lawrence for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of Emerald, I thought the story of Brandon and Jonathan with their childhood memories of Emerald was hilarious.
Oh
They're
yeah.
in the basement. The dad comes down. They flip the TV off, and they think they're watching porn, and they're watching a cooking show with Emerald, which I thought was so funny, so
Yeah, yeah.
funny. That was hilarious.
That was
And
cracking me
yeah, I
up.
mean, Emerald is an icon. He's definitely an influence on a lot of chefs. I grew up watching Ming Tsai and
Wow.
Chan Can Cook and those types of
Those are
cooking shows. So
throwbacks.
yeah, I know those are the deep cuts there. But
Wow.
yeah, and Emerald, I mean, he's a cornerstone of the early Food Network when Food Network used to do cooking shows instead of like all competition shows 24 hours a
Mhm.
day. But yeah, so I thought those 3, I mean, they won because they understood the challenge. And on the bottom of the elimination challenge, I got to talk about this for a second. I don't think I've ever seen. They said, "Okay, Anthony Lawrence, Brandon, step back. Now we want to see everybody else." I was like, "Oh my lord!" It reminded me of Savannah's season,
Mhm.
and they all went. The judges went back to the back and like had to give a stern talking to the chefs. They're like, "Look, you're on Top Chef. You got to step it up a little bit." This reminded me of that season. Um, and basically everybody had issues. I mean, I got to talk about Nana for a second because I know she's your friend, but I mean, I have never seen somebody so ill prepared to be on Top Chef than I have Nana. And look, I get it. Everybody's nervous around the clock. Everybody, is trying to work out the cobwebs and trying to figure out the clock situation. But we are 6 challenges deep now. If you don't understand the clock at this point, what are you even doing there? So I was like actively upset with Nana. I'm like, what is happening there? So kind of walk me through her mindset. What do you think was happening? I mean, I just how let me phrase it this way. How long did you know when you made the show that you were going to be on the show? What was the time frame between that phone call saying congratulations, you're on Top Chef, and then when they hit record on that first day?
So I think it's not a lot of time. It's a couple weeks at best that you are preparing to go. I mean, you interview for quite some time, but then it's not a lot of time. It's a quick turnaround. I give you a date, and then in under 30 days, you're like in your destination. So it's not a lot of time to prepare. I think if you're not ready by the second you start interviewing to go, and like if you're not in gym time, if you're not in a kitchen, if you're not constantly cooking or like trying to, it's not a lot of time, man.
Yeah, I mean, because I've interviewed my fair number of Top Chef contestants on the show, like you and Tristan and Savannah and Buddha. And one common refrain that I've heard from all of them and Sarah Bradley too is they practiced. They practiced with the clock particularly because
Mhm.
they know that's probably the biggest challenge. They've got the recipes in their head. They know what they're doing in the kitchen, but some have not been on food competitions before or have never had to cook under a clock like that, and they practice. To me, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for Nana, obviously, but to me, it just didn't look like that prep was happening. I don't know. I was thinking, man, you're 6 challenges in here and you're still having issues with the clock. I was like, what is happening? And to for her, I mean, obviously, there's no doubt she was eliminated. She didn't put up barely a dish. She put on the sauce, and didn't even make it on all the plates. They couldn't even judge it. So I was just thinking, what did you do with your time before coming on Top Chef? Like, if you're interviewing, and you're kind of you kind of know you're on those last few interviews, and you feel like you're going to make it on, or I feel like you should have been practicing. And it's like watching a pro athlete that you're paying to watch, and then they just like choke, and you're just kind of like,
Mm.
oh man, it was just really really tough to watch. And I don't know, I I just feel like it was such she was so ill prepared, and I hated to see that. And to me it just looked like she was ill prepared. So it's a tough go for Nana, but she's going into LCK. Now, here's another question. LCK is all about the clock, right? How long was it between when you were eliminated, when you were told to pack your knives and go, and then you were walking into the LCK doors? What was the time frame there?
I think from when I got eliminated to getting in, I mean, I think it's pretty quick. You just need people, because I was the first of the second. Me and Kat were the first of the second round of people. So they wanted to build up a couple people so that they could obviously start filming, even though like it was me versus Kat in the first one. So I want to say within a week we were, because on TV it looks like a week goes by, but in reality that's a day. Like
Yeah.
Quickfire and elimination, that happens like that's in a day. And
Yeah.
then so within a week you can have 5 people knocked out if you know what I mean. So if it's a team challenge, multiple people can get knocked out. You can have 3 people knocked out. You can have 2 people knocked out. It just depends on how they structure it. So it just really depends. And so everything happens so much faster than you think on Top Chef. You may be there for if you get extended into the top 3 or the top 5, you're there for quite some time. So you see the total progression of the show, but um in terms of Nana, it does suck, man. She's better than that. I've worked with her on the line. I've worked with her in the kitchen. I know she is. I think it's just when you're in a kitchen and you're in a season of like you're cooking for like actual time. Like, if I go work the grill station, for example, and ticket pops up, I've got 15 minutes to get dishes out. 100%. So I'm always cooking for a time. I'm rushing while executing. I'm moving with pace. I'm moving with gumption. And I don't know if she was in a kitchen leading up to it and was able to prepare, or if she was just executing her pop-ups, which is a completely different type of pace. But it sucks to see, somebody who has talent and can cook tasty food go down like this. It really does. Like it's Top Chef. Like this is it. This is the Catalina wine mixer. And to not live up to like the that aspiration, it's like, what do you do? I even when I lost, I put it on myself. When I got knocked out, I was like, you need to go home and get better. There were some things that you clearly fell flat on your face on. You need to like identify what you did wrong, and like, use this as fuel to like take your next leap as a chef, and take a step back to like get ahead. And it worked. I saw exactly what I was missing in my game. I knew where I needed to perfect some things and work on. So I'm hoping that I'm not hoping. I know Nana is watching this on TV and understanding like she knows where she has to do to get better. Because it's not a matter of good food. I've tasted Nana's food. Nana makes tasty food. Like it's not a matter of that. Like the judges even saw it, like, it's just the time management was killing her. The time management was killing her. It's not skill set, it's time management. And that is a skill. For me specifically, something that I saw worked in the Top Chef kitchen, I would look at the clock and be like, I've got 15 minutes on the clock. If my mise en place isn't done by now, I'm fucked. Like at 10 minutes, if you're not ready to go with all your mise en place in front of you and you're not starting to plate at 10 minutes, you're screwed. The first challenge, I think I waited till like 3 minutes to start plating, and I shouldn't have. I thought that was enough time to like get all the touches, and I made too many touches on my plate in the first challenge. Granted, I got up a dish and I missed my sauce, but like I had a lot of touches on my first plate that, Vinny was like, mine was consomme down, fish, garnish. It was 3 touches. So for him, it was fast. And I was like, oh man, that's smart. One of my dishes that I won money with, like my scallop dish was literally like 3 touches. It was literally seared scallops, beurre blanc that was down, and then like the garni on top. So it was like boom, 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 boom. And I was like done. And I think I was the last one plating. I think I looked up and there was like 5 seconds left and everybody's like staring at me, like still touching my plates. But I made it mentally so that like I came with a game plan. If I look up and I'm at 11 minutes and I don't have my mise en place done, scrap whatever you're doing and go with what you have. Throw an idea aside and run with what you have, because that's better than not being able to put up a dish.
So if the turnaround time between her leaving the show and ending up on LCK, so we got to wait for another person to get eliminated. So let's say it's a day, maybe 2 days before she's cooking on LCK. What should she be doing in these couple of days off between cooking to understand the clock and to understand time management and to make a turnaround in LCK? Like Bailey in your season had a huge turnaround in LCK. She was trying to figure out who she was as a cook on the main competition, couldn't quite get there, couldn't quite figure it out. But in LCK, she found her voice, she found her style, and then ran the table in Last Chance Kitchen. So what does she need to do? Because like you said, it's not her food, it's not her, it's time management. What does she need to do to turn it around in LCK?
I want to see Nana cook like she's Tom Brady and she's down 28-3 to the Falcons in the Super Bowl. Like, you got to come in LCK on fire, because there's like, if you even make a mistake, even if it's not a mistake, any mistake will get you sent home. I didn't open a can, and Tom was like, "You didn't open a can. That's why you got sent home." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You made a mistake in LCK. It's LCK. You're not here to make mistakes. You're here to win. You're here to battle back." Yeah, she's gotta cook like she's down 28-3 at halftime. She's got to come with the fear of like everything. The thing is, she's already been through the worst. We've seen the worst. It can't get better. It can't get worse than that. And so I think with that, she has all the upside, because if she starts cooking the way she wants to, she can battle back. She can be the heroine story of the season. Like, she's got to just put her head down and go. Like, I want to see it happen. I'm eager to see what happens in LCK, because I also want to see the other two contestants get thrown back in it. I don't think it's fair to the first two that got knocked out. I want to see everybody get their fair one. And that's what LCK is for. It's for everybody to get their lick back. It's everybody to get that chip on their shoulder and say, like, I came here to show the world why I want to win Top Chef, and I got knocked out because of nerves or whatever it may be, and this is my shot, and here I'm going for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think she just needs to keep one eye on the clock at all times. I think she gets to she has an idea in her head, and I don't think she has learned to pivot yet from that. When she sees the time, like she was trying to do her chicken gallatin, and she's looking at the time, she didn't have enough time to get it done. She couldn't pivot. Like come up with recipes that are easily changeable when you're running out of time, and you got to keep an eye on the clock. And I think with LCK having to cook only one plate of food versus maybe 10 plates of food like you do in an elimination challenge might help her, because then you're not having to cook multiple plates, and just putting down one plate I think will help her in this one. But yeah, she's got to be conscious of that clock. She's got to keep an internal timer in her head of some sort, and knowing how long things are having to cook for and knowing what's left on the clock. She's got to get that time management under control to move on. But it wasn't, we're kind of harping on Nana, but Nana wasn't the only one that had issues. Not only did the rest of the chefs have issues with the whole color concept, but the overall cooking in general was pretty bad all the way around. So let's talk a little bit about some of these other ones that could have easily been put on the bottom with they all were on the bottom with Nana. I got to talk about lamb and clams. What was going on? Is that a pairing that you would normally see? Lamb and clams. Like I've never, I mean, yeah, surf and turf, but I've never paired lamb with seafood before. That's just weird.
It's how you do it. For example, we have a dish on our menu here at Isla called it's a lamb tartare, and it has pickled shrimp in it. And people read it and they're like, and then they get it, and I guarantee you it's top three, one of the best dishes on our menu. It's just how you flavors and combinations. I've never seen lamb and clams. I thought it was hilarious that the judge was like, the only thing good about this is that they rhyme. That made me crack up a little bit. No, the judges
That's
kind
funny.
of flame you a lot. Like the judges are not nice sometimes. They make you eat it. So lamb and clams, yeah, just not a smart combination. Like surf, it's not the surf and turf combo you want to see.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Sherry had chewy pork, unfortunately. So another one where the basic cooking wasn't all that good, and almost all of them had muted colors.
Mhm.
Um, One did have a good idea, colored Spetzel. I thought that was
Mhm.
great. I saw her doing that one, and I said, "Oh, that's perfect." And then she put a beige sauce over it, and then just killed it.
Yeah.
When the challenge is color, why are you doing that? Like it's weird where all this it was like this mind virus that just permeated the chefs, and they just didn't know what to do with this challenge. What was going through her head to put a
Ex-
beige sauce on these
execution.
colorful Spetzel?
Execution. You have an idea and then you go do it. And the thing is, when you do it as though you're one and done. You're one and done. There's no time to really R&D and like test this out and see if it's perfect. You one and done it, and then you're like, oh fuck, this sucks. Like, or it muted and you're like, oh man, that changed. You're stuck with it. And then that's your idea. Because if you don't, then you could be the one that gets eliminated. Better put up something and talk your way out of it versus not putting up something great and then you get knocked out for like being like, well, I wanted to pivot. And the judges were like, well, we wouldn't know because we didn't taste it. So sometimes you just got to run with it. I think some of the less is more. Some people are going too far. Like they're going too far with the ideas and they're trying too hard. I thought Jennifer specifically was close. I thought her shrimp bun looked really nice, but she knew it was dense. The second the judge said it, like she's like, I knew it was dense. I didn't have enough time to let my dough rest or whatever the case may be. But I thought aesthetically it was this bright yellow bun and it had bright red around it. I was like, oh, that could be a winner just off of visual, but her execution just wasn't there. And so I think this was just a challenge that definitely gave a lot of the chefs execution problems. We saw execution as constantly the thing that is dragging them down, overcooking, undercooking, colors, not meeting the challenge. It's just execution. And then the people that are executing the challenges are like, I'm locked in on it. Even Rhoda had struggled. Rhoda was like, she was like, I'm feeling a little nervous. I'm not really confident in this. So we're seeing certain people like have their moment of like shakiness in certain challenges. And the great thing about this many people being in it, you just don't have to be the worst. You just don't have to be the worst. And Rhoda had immunity, so she was safe on this one. But we'll see if she can get back to her championship reign.
Yeah, so when you have this many chefs in, it's like you don't have to be, when you're running from the bear, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the other person, and that's kind of where
That's
that's where we're
implying
at right now.
that's implying there's the bear chasing a group of people. Sometimes it's just you and the bear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, Jennifer, talk about Jennifer a little bit. Deciding to make the bread the day of service was certainly a choice. And she knew, but it was
Yeah,
her shoulder that was giving her problems. And she's
yeah.
like, there's no way I can knead dough tonight. And I can only hope that beyond beyond the belief of all physics that bread is involved in, that it'll proof in an hour
Mhm.
after making it. So yeah, kind of a bad choice there. And then Brittany again trying to talk her way out of a bad decision. She was like, "Yeah, I poached my daikon in chlorophyll." And the judges were like, "No, you didn't. That thing didn't touch an ounce of chlorophyll, and because it was still, pristine. It was still white. It had no hint of green in it." So it's Brittany again trying to talk her way out of a bad decision. Just rough cooking all the way around. The only thing I can hope for in the next episode is that they reflect, or I hope that they reflect, and then the next episode just turns us around like this episode didn't happen. But yeah, it's been a while since I've seen an episode like this where everybody was just collectively bad. Like it was rough to watch. I was cringing. I was like, oh my gosh, bad knife cuts. It's like not just the color challenge, but like you're saying, the execution, the choices that were being made. It's like everybody had the yips in this episode.
Even Oscar, man, and he's been cooking well, and then he, went in and was just nervous, and I'm like, why is he tripping? He's like, my hands are shaking. I'm struggling to slice fish, and I don't know why. I don't know why they were so nervous. I'm
Yeah.
really curious. I want to have a conversation with like them and be like, what was the real behind was it cooking for Emerald? Was it cooking for Emerald? Like really? Because the challenge, it's not a difficult challenge. They give you a bunch of things that are dyed. They give you a bunch of resources. So like they kind of just set you up for a layup. So is it? If I'm willing to bet it's cooking for Emerald. I've met
Yeah.
Emerald twice in person, and both times I was starstruck, like sitting there, like this is Emerald Lagasse. So the fact that they're cooking for him, I'm just let's just call it that. Emerald was starstruck everybody, and everybody was nervous to cook for the Don.
Yeah. I mean, even Seeger too. Seeger I thought had the right idea. He was using squid ink, which is a perfect vehicle to dye something. And after he left, the judges weren't too impressed with what he put down on the table. But when he left, Tom was like, why didn't he dye the scallop?
I
And
think
I
that's a
know Seeger's
terrible
gonna
idea.
watch that back and go,
I
hand to
think that's a
forehead.
terrible idea. You don't need like the focal point of the dish being like a black ball. Like it's not. No, I dyeing the scallop black. When
Really?
Tom said that, I was like, oh no, God no, like terrible idea. So me personally, I would have made squid ink pasta. I would have
Yeah.
done and then I would have done a very bright sauce. And I would have done like a scallop in the middle, like wrapped around some pasta if I were Seeger. Because then at that point you can go sauce red, you can go sauce really green, you can go because now you have a really beautiful scallop in the middle that's its color, and then you could have shingled something dyed on top of that. You could have pickled something and shingled and punched it in a circle and made it the same size as the scallop. And so you could have easily like execute. I think he was close. He was like a degree of separation off from having a good dish, and
Yeah.
that's where Top Chef gets tricky.
When I was watching this challenge and watching everybody struggle, I was thinking, who would have killed at this challenge? Buddha.
Oh, 100%.
Buddha would have killed this challenge.
Buddha is Michael Jordan of Top Chef right now. Like he can't lose. Like he would have killed it. I think there's a lot of chefs that would have done well, but Buddha, hands down, would have probably went in there and did something crazy.
I know it would have been insane what he would have came up with. But man, I think this is just an episode that the chefs want to forget about. And it was fun to talk about because I'm a commentator, right? So I'm kind of crapping on all the chefs, and I can't cook for anything. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. But it's you watch and you see these people struggle, and you're like, what is happening? But wow, so we can only hope next episode they get it in gear and put this behind them and see what happens on the next one. Chef, I know you got to go. Time is running away from us. Where can people find you and on socials, and what's going on at the restaurant that people need to be aware of?
Follow me at Chef Corwin Hemming on Instagram. Things in DC are starting to warm up. The weather is getting nice outside. Spring is on the way. Summer's right behind that. So we are getting for all these new menus. A lot of crazy things are going on. So we're just having fun with food. We're cooking a lot. We're entertaining. Come find us at Isla DC and let us host you.
And it's almost cherry blossom season up there in DC,
We
isn't it?
are in the midst of cherry blossoms here. We're introducing a cherry blossom menu this week. It's great. We've got some duck confit with sakura cherry. There's a lot of like really cool things going on. We have a panna cotta that has a gilet on top that is dying. We
Oh,
dyed a gilet pink. I did this challenge. You know what I mean?
oh, that's funny, man. That's serendipitous how
um,
that all kind of tied together, didn't it?
tied its way back in. Yeah, so we have a lot of cool stuff going on here, man. We're always busy at Islet. We're always entertaining. It's a busy place. It's fun. It's great cooking. It's really good food. So come check us out.
Awesome, awesome. And don't forget to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content, and follow, like, subscribe on your podcast player of choice and on the social media channels so you'll know when new things are going to drop. Until next week, Chef Corwin Hemming, thank you so much for being back.
Thank you guys. I'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to Eat Your Content. If you like what you hear, please consider supporting the podcast through my merch store on TeePublic. Get great quality items like t-shirts, hats, mugs, and more, all sporting the vibrant Eat Your Content logo. Go to teepublic.com/user/eatyourcontent for more great items, and thanks for your support.